The scraping of metal on concrete stopped me mid-step. I stood at the garage threshold, my hands still on the folding chairs. Her brother's voice cut through the thin drywall like a blade. "Still can't believe you married this loser. Dad's right, you need to divorce him before you have kids and get stuck forever." My breath stalled. Silence. Then her voice, flat, casual, like talking about the weather. "Already working on it. My lawyer says we can take half his business too." The metal dug into my palm. I hadn't realized I was gripping the chairs that hard. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't break. I just memorized every word. Then I lifted the chairs, walked in with a smile, and returned to the table like I hadn't just heard my wife gut me with a sentence. Dinner was roast chicken. And betrayal. I watched her pour wine for her father, laughing at some story I'd already heard twice. Her hand grazed my shoulder when she walked past. Reflexive, hollow. I was invisible now, just the hired help with a ring. When her brother smirked across the table, my chest tightened. A private joke, one I wasn't supposed to hear, but I had. I started watching them, not with anger, not yet, with clarity. I counted how many times she touched me. Twice. I counted how many times she looked at her phone. 9. I counted how many times her brother called me boss man with a sneer. 4. The mask was cracking, and I could finally see the puppeteer behind her eyes. She hadn't slipped. She'd planned this. 2 days later, I changed the password to my business cloud. She asked why. I said we had a breach. She didn't blink. I waited until she left for her Pilates class, then called my lawyer. I asked if my shares could be seized in a divorce. His silence answered me. So I started moving. Quietly, legally, precisely. I created a second LLC, transferred the licensing rights under a different name, liquidated assets and routed them through shell companies, kept the storefront, hid the engine. She was marrying the brand, not the bones. Next, I called a friend at the phone company, and I asked for her records. They came the next week. There were too many calls to one number. Late, short, always deleted from her phone. I called the number. It went straight to voicemail. I didn't speak. I didn't need to, because I recognized the voice. It was her lawyer, Friday evening. She was baking like nothing was wrong. I laid the manila envelope on the kitchen island. She didn't look up. "What's that?" "Something for you." She opened it mid-laugh. The laughter died. Text logs, call records, business filings, a notarized transfer of all primary business assets to a trust in my sister's name. Her hands trembled. "What is this?" The part where you realize the knife never reached the heart. She looked at me like a stranger, because I was. The version of me she married had died the moment I heard her say the word lawyer. She followed me into the living room, barefoot, eyes glassy. "We can talk about this." I turned the TV on. Static filled the silence. "We had a plan. I didn't mean." "You meant every word." I just finally listened. She reached for me. I stepped back. "We built this together." "No, I built it, while you rehearsed how to burn it down." She dropped to the couch, shaking, vulnerable, finally real. I left the room, walked into the garage, picked up the same 2 folding chairs, brought them back into the living room, set one down in front of her, sat, looked her in the eye. "This is the chair I carried when I heard you sell me like a used car. I thought you should sit in it while you lose everything you tried to steal." She sobbed. I stood. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't slam the door. I simply locked it behind me. 3 weeks later, I got a call from her father. Said she moved back in. Said she's not herself. I told him she was never who he thought she was. He asked if I'd forgive her. I didn't laugh. Forgiveness is for people who lose something they can get back. He hung up. I looked at the folder on my desk, finalized trust documents, 0 contact clauses, and a restraining order if she tries anything clever. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt. I'm awake. And some chairs don't fold back open. Not after they break. Not after you've heard what they heard.